So question 30 is asking us to divide and find the binomial and determine if a binomial is a factor of the dividend. So if I do a basic division problem, let's say I do 5 into 30. Basically what we're doing is ask ourselves, well, how many fives go into 30? Now, one way of doing it is actually count out 30 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So I have 30 things and I want to group them by fives. So if I group them by fives, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically what happens is if you divide 30 into groups of 5, you're going to end up with 6 groups. Now, what we've also learned is instead of doing this, we could ask ourselves how many fives does it take to get 30? In other words, what times 5 is 30? So a lot of times we think this is multiplication. What times 5 is 30 would be 6. So notice that 6 is a factor of that. Now, if I do, say, 5 into, say, 33, notice that if I have 3 more of these things, notice that 5 can go, I can group 33 by, by 5s until I get up to 30, and then I'm going to have a remainder of 3. So there's going to be this remainder of 3 because I don't have enough in this to make a group of 5. So they're leftovers, if you will, or remainder of 3. So this problem, we would say the answer is 6 remainder 3. So now if we do again, if I ask myself how many 5s go to 33, what we're basically doing is how close can we get to 33 without going over? Well, 6 times 5 is the closest I can get because 7 times 5 is too big. So notice that I can put the 30 underneath, and if I subtract, my remainder is 3. And since 5 won't go into 3, we have a leftover. So notice that 6 is a factor of this dividend because 6 times 5 is 30. But notice that 6 is not a factor of 33 because 6 times 5 is not 33. It's got a remainder. So if I want to do this problem over here, I'm kind of trying to figure out what in the world are we doing? Well, drawing pictures is not going to be very well. So we're going to have to use something more like this. You know, 6 times what gave me 30. So what I want to do is I want to focus on this x, and I want to start here and ask myself, what times x is x squared? What times x is x squared? Well, I would need another x. X times x is x squared. So what we do now is, well, x minus 4 is going to go into x squared, x times, if you will. So what I can do now is multiply this x times this binomial and bring it underneath. So x times x is going to give me this x squared, and then x times negative 4 is going to give me this minus 4x. And notice that to determine the remainder, we're subtracting. But remember, we're subtracting this whole thing. So if I'm subtracting this whole thing, the easiest thing to do is just take the opposite of the whole thing. So what I do is instead of subtraction, I change the signs and add. So that turns into a negative, that turns into a positive. So then what I do is I add the two columns together. So in doing so, we see x and 4x to be a 5x. And also that this x squared and this negative 5x squared are going to drop out. So the next move is just to bring down the minus 20. And what we do is we start this whole process over again. But notice how I want to start up here. I'm going to ask myself, what times x is 5x? What times x is 5x? Well, I would need a positive 5 or a plus 5 there. So once we put that up there, I can multiply this 5 through this binomial. 5 times x is going to be 5x. 5 times negative 4 is going to be a minus 20. Now in algebra, instead of subtracting, we change the signs and add. So this 5x turns into a negative, and this negative 20 turns into a positive 20, and then we add. A negative 20 plus a 20 is going to be a 0, and negative 5x and a 5x and negative 5x also drops out. So the remainder is going to be a 0. Since my remainder is 0, that means this binomial x plus 5 is a factor of this x squared plus x minus 20, which they call the dividend. So in other words, if I multiply x minus 4 times x plus 5, try that again, x minus 4, if I multiply those two factors together, that should get me back to the dividend of x squared plus x minus 20. So this would be the check. So the check would be then x times x would be x squared, 5x, negative 4x, and then a minus 20. So we're seeing is x squared plus x minus 20. And notice how that does match the dividend. It does check out. So x plus 5 would be considered a binomial factor. So we would say, yeah, x plus 5 is a factor since my remainder was 0.